Johnson, not quite that good, but nothing bothers him. And Will's a good guy. I just met Will this year when he started playing, so he's a very nice guy.
Yeah, I really like Will. He's good. He's a good guy, a good man.
Awesome.
He said he does concrete work.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why sometimes he has to call on Saturdays or Sundays late and get out, because he said, when we get time to pour, if the weather's good, I got to go. So.
All right. I think we've come up on 4 o'clock. I'm here. Rob's there. Do we have other commissioners online?
Let me look here.
Yeah, Jim Carr's here.
Todd is here, but he's muted. Unmute yourself.
Jim Carr's here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, Jim. Okay. And Todd is there?
Yeah,
Yep.
but he hadn't unmuted himself.
Okay. Silent participant. Well, while he's getting a voice, it's 4 o'clock. I think we do have a quorum, and I'm calling the meeting to order. I assume everyone has reviewed the minutes from the October meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Is there a motion to approve the October minutes?
Second. Is it a second or?
Was there a first?
I never.
Someone want to bring that motion?
We'll let Rob go first. We need a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the October.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. There's Todd. There's Todd.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
All right.
I thought it was a trick question. I thought maybe there was something wrong with them. I didn't see anything, but
you're waiting for the other shoe to fall.
Yeah. I was like, wait.
All right. Roll call vote to approve the minutes. Motion made and seconded. Todd, how do you vote?
I vote yay.
All right. Rob?
I'm a yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Maynard's a yes. We missing Gene today?
I think so.
I guess we are, but the motion passes. The minutes are approved. David, you ready to give the October report?
I am. We had another good month. The fourth month of our 2020-2021 fiscal year, and they all have been good. We had 2,344 rounds, which was 23% more than the 1,900 in the budget. Year to date, and a reminder that we track rounds on an annual basis, not a fiscal year basis. So for the 10 months year to date, we've had 22,806 rounds versus 20,012 last year, a 14% increase. But an interesting note, so far this month through yesterday, we've done 1,119 rounds. We add that to the October year-to-date total, comes out to 23,925, and that is more rounds than the previous 7 years combined. The previous full 7 year.
Yes.
So we're ahead of the game with basically a month and a half to go. So it looks like we're going to have a wicked year for rounds. our income of 79,000 and change was almost 12,000 above budget, and about 14,862 more than October of last year. Our gross profit on sales was 8,559 more than budget. Our operating expenses were $937 more than budget, essentially on budget. And our income for the month our net operating income for the month was just under 13,000, which was $7,600 above the $5,300 budget. So we hadn't budgeted much, but we sure exceeded it. And our net cash flow for the month was $11,905. That was $8,460 above budget. So a very good month. For the first 4 months of the current fiscal year, we had $431,000 in income, a little over $97,000 more than the budget, and about $91,000 more than the comparable period for last year. Our gross profit on sales year to date for the 4 months, $76,000 ahead of budget. Our operating expenses are a little bit still above budget, haven't recovered from that couple of months ago. We're $16,000 above budget. So that our net operating income, $102,000, $60,000 more than budget. And our net cash flow year to date was almost $110,000, which is $62,000 more than budget and $53,000 more than last year. So every one of those numbers exceeds last year and exceeds budget. At the end of October, we had $188,576 in cash. And as of this morning, we had $180,511, 180,511. So a very good month, and as Brad will tell you, we're off to a good start this month as well.
David, thank you. I can remember probably 20 months ago when I was a new commissioner and we were just borrowed $60,000 from the city, and thinking kind of from the depths of despair, then looking at the numbers, if we could ever figure out how to get back to 23,000 rounds, we'd be in a good position.
Yes.
And certainly we've passed that point and got the best rounds the last 8 years. I think certainly pushed over that line by COVID, and certainly acknowledge the role that Brad and his people have played in successfully coping with all the challenges that situation has presented to get us to the point where we are today.
Amen.
All right. Brad, your report.
All right. Well, as David alluded to, another good month. We're only 16 days in, but we've already actually exceeded budget and exceeded where we were last year for the entire month. So we've done 1,119 rounds to date, where last year we only did 900 rounds for the entire month. We've done $36,000 in sales, which is $3,000 more than budget and $7,000 more than we did the entire month of 2019. So everything's trending good. We only had one tournament and we've gotten it done. So, and the weather outlook, as long as we get good weather on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I mean, we're doing 100 plus rounds every weekend. I mean, you can look at Sunday, 92 rounds, and that's with rain up until about 9 o'clock. So, you know, we had several people cancel early in the morning, and we still almost made it to 100. So it's and with the wind and all that. So it's been good. I mean, I can see us coming out of here. I think hopefully by the end of the year, yeah, we should have a record number of rounds. So it's been a perfect storm, and my guys worked hard, but we're doing a good job, and it's working out good.
A lot easier to schedule everybody with that Monday downtime too, I'm sure.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's another thing. I mean, you look at, we missed 3 Mondays. You know, last Monday was one of those where it was really nice. And, you know, I'm sitting there scratching my head a little bit, but, you know, it gave, you know, it really gives Robin them time. I saw it today. I went in for a few hours, and, you know, they're able to get all kind of stuff done without anybody in the way, without interfering with anybody. And it really, it's really been a good thing, I think, overall for the golf course itself.
Good, good. Anyone have questions for Brad? All right, moving along. Lynn, your report?
Just briefly, guys, we averaged about 3.5 to 4 people per week on the golf course during the month of October for the maintenance. Quite a bit of a light staff, same reasons we've kind of discussed for the last 2 or 3 months. Generally, most of our hours were used for the mowing of greens, tees, and fairways, some top dressing. We did get the of greens and some hand and machine top dressing. We also completed the aeration in early October. I think we probably discussed that at the last meeting as well. But the majority of our time was spent chasing leaves from one end of the golf course to the other. I think that the turbine blower has been a very useful tool for us in that realm. It's helped quite a bit. Also had a little bit of time to get most of the sand that we purchased into bunkers. We've got about a half a trailer load left to get to number 14 bunker. We'll get that done in the next little bit. We've also planned on kind of doing some stump work, some additional ryegrass seeding on T-tops, some fertility on those as well, continued leaf removal, and we'll kind of start to move into winter mode where we try to look at some winter projects as far as drainage, tree works, irrigation repairs, equipment repairs, etc. On the cart delivery timeline, at this point, I talked with the Easy Go folks this morning, and I think Brad talked to Jim as well. And the indication is somewhere between December 1st and December 15th, with December 15th being their drop dead timeline. I think, as we've discussed in the last commission meeting, at that point, there's a 30-day term that the city would, at some point after invoice, there's a 30-day term after delivery that the city would transfer money into the Country Hills account. We would write that check at some point, and the Country Hills account would start reimbursing the city, you know, the $3,000 a month that we've already got budgeted. That would start in December, no matter when we pay the invoice for the carts.
Lynn, what about, we said by the end of October, we're going to smooth out that cart path area on number 6.
I got to look, yes, sir. I got to looking at that, and basically with what I'd like to do, I found some product that's called Fleximat that you can kind of dig out and install, but it needs to be turfed and grassed in there. We're going to do a little bit of a temporary type measure between now and then, but I don't want to do the finished product until we can get some Bermuda grass growing in that area in May and you know, that timeline. But that's the timeline we're working under.
Okay. One of our other projects, and this is a question maybe for Eddie, I would, you know, is it appropriate to find a way to thank Public Works for our cart path patching?
I was going to mention that.
Sure. I think send a letter to the mayor and ask the mayor to express his appreciation to BOMA and the staff for their help you know, on that. I think that, and Andy, you tell me if I'm wrong, copy also probably Marshall and Dave Lamar and Marshall Boyd. So send a letter to the mayor with a copy to Dave, Lamar, and Marshall.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
I can get you the information, Mr. Maynard, as far as names and contact information.
All right. You know, which of us, you know, should that letter come from? I think it probably needs to come from me. You know, I don't know if Brad wants to sign that letter as well. You want to sign it, Lynn? What do y'all think appropriate?
I think from you as chairman of the golf commission is sufficient.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I just think that's, you know, really kind of a big deal. And I think the repairs have come off well, and we need to acknowledge, you know, that work that's done. I think it's kind of a big deal for us. Okay. Anything else, Lynn?
Yeah, I've got a question for Lynn, and I'm sure you and Andy have already talked about this, but when do we trade in the carts for the new ones? The day they're delivered?
Yes, you're somewhere right in that timeline. I mean, we've kind of pulled out those 6 to do the swap with already.
Okay, so you picked out the best 6 that you think of the group.
Yes, sir. As in comparison of the 6, yes, sir.
We picked out 10, and you can choose 6.
And Andy, you haven't heard anything on the bid, have you? Have you put out the bid to try to piggyback on the bid that the golf course got?
The bid's supposed to go out this week.
Okay. Thank
you. Anything else for Lynn? All right. That brings us to other business. What other business needs to be brought up and discussed?
Is this kind of open discussion for?
Yes, yes.
Let me ask a question. Brad kind of alluded to it. There's some people out at Country Hills this year that have been working very hard. I mean, anybody who picks up and washes range balls, disinfects carts, works behind the pro shop counter, works in the snack shop, in the snack shop area. I mean, with all these added rounds and I mean, it's almost like the same number of people doing, you know, twice as much work. Is there, we're kind of coming up on the holidays. I don't want to step on anybody here, but is at the end of the year, some of these people get holiday bonuses. Is there
traditionally our year-end bonuses have been pretty meager. Not a lot of money involved. We don't budget a lot, and anything that we budget, we do give out. But there's no system for any sort of larger bonuses.
Is that something as a commission that we could do something along those lines just this year, being just given the exception? I mean, kind of the year that they've all had. I personally know they've been working very hard. I mean, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
I would ask, kind of in that context and thinking about the cart discussion that we had before Boma one day, Andy, Eddie, how does that prospect go down within the city?
Go ahead, Andy.
As far as getting a bonus or cost of living or merit increase?
No, just a one-time bonus payment. Like,
yeah, you would basically call that a merit.
Yeah.
A merit raise for one time.
I don't think he's talking about raising pay. I think he's talking about
a one-time bonus.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, I don't know that that's ever happened in the history of the city that I could speak of. I mean, but if it were to happen, it would just be a matter of somebody bringing it up for a vote. I mean, That's the management company's decision, though. You all can,
And that's what I hated to, I
Okay.
wanted to see kind of where we were. I think if Rob, you'd kind of allow us and Brad together to kind of look at what everybody went through this year and begin to kind of make their pay representative of that in lieu of kind of establishing a precedent for, extra work's a pretty good thing, but it's a pretty good work ethic too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't want to get into anybody's.
No, I understand. I think that's something we can kind of work through.
I just, I just know how hard they've all worked this year and
Sure.
compared to other years. So.
Agreed and solely agreed, 100%.
Yeah, very much appreciated too. And also, Rob, throughout partway through this summer, I was able to give little incremental increases to some of those guys, the Geralds and the Johns and the guys that have been, taking on double duties and working extra hard. Guys that normally work 2 days that are working 4 and 5 now. So we did do that. So that has helped out some. But yeah, I really appreciate. They have worked hard, and I'll. If we can't get them any money, I'll certainly give them whatever else I can, time or whatever.
Sounds good. Unless anybody has anything else, I had one other issue. I have another project for Lynn to consider.
Good.
Okay.
I was at Riverside on Saturday. I take my son over there. He plays. He likes to play the 9-hole executive course because we can walk it and stuff. And I noticed that they made some changes. They've closed down their driving range there. I think because it's just been hammered all summer. I know Country Hills, the driving range looks like it's tore up, and we're on mats now. But I noticed that what Riverside did is they poured some concrete. They took an area on their driving range and they poured a slab of concrete, and then they put down some mats. And my son hit a bucket of balls, and it was really nice. I mean, it was really nice the way they had it set up. And I was wondering if there would be any interest with Country Hills, to maybe, pour some concrete on the range and, as a nice level, smooth surface for the mats that come down in the fall, and maybe, to make it worthwhile. I think there's times in the summertime where the driving range grass gets really stressed, and that they're constantly moving the ropes and trying to find good grass. Maybe, at some point at different, different intervals in the summer, they can actually bring mats out and let the grass recover, just kind of alternate back and forth. I was kind of thinking that along the same lines as how we did the cart paths. Maybe the Public Works Department could help out, and it would really reduce the cost of doing. I have a photograph. I could share it with everybody, but I could put it up on the screen, but I don't know if I could take it down. I'm good at sharing, but then getting someone, like backing it back out. If you want to see, I took a photograph of what I saw.
We've actually talked about it. I mean, I personally think it's a great idea. I think in the past it's been fairly expensive, but it would be great to have something like that. I wouldn't even be opposed to keeping the mats out almost year round, where if it's a very wet day or something like that, or a couple of days where it's wet, and that way just, hey, it's wet, so we're on mats today.
I think that's something.
Is on October. It's on our October list that long range or intermediate term, whatever. It's on that project list, and I think we recognize that's something that needs to be done. The range has been good to us. How do we keep it giving in inclement weather and when there's no grass? So it's a question of timing, I guess, as to it's a good idea. It needs to be done. When do we do it?
Well, in conjunction with that, there's also there's this drainage ditch that runs across the driving range, and I wonder if there's some kind of barrier that could be constructed.
If I could speak to that, not to interrupt you, Mr. Plain, but I've had several conversations with Trace with Public Works about both those issues, and we're going to get together as it relates to a pad going across the back of the driving range. One thing he and I have discussed just together is a small barrier, much like a roadside, like the median in between, like only a foot or two tall, that would be several feet in front of the creek to prevent. But the issue is that basically in the center, and as Brad can speak to very well, the balls going in there. If we can prevent some from rolling in there, the majority do that rather than fly. So if we could have a small barrier, we're kind of working through what's the setback from the center of that creek, because it is a protected wetland area.
Oh,
Yeah.
We don't want to get into that issue very deeply at all as it relates to people looking around and engineering and studies and all that other stuff. So we're trying to figure out how far outside the edge we can get to that and kind of combine those two together. Because in the past, we've had nets, we've had barriers, we've had stuff, we've had all kinds of stuff. And at the end of the day, basically, if you've been there, I'm sure after a pretty good rainstorm, it all ends up in the middle of Saundersville Road.
Yeah, I mean, I know that when I take my kids to school in the morning, oftentimes I see guys out there picking the balls out.
It's intensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very labor intensive to do that. And then also, I think it would extend the life of the life and longevity of range balls. So
Correct.
Just nasty after they've been sitting in there for a while. So I mean,
100%. We'll work with Trace on that and get a report back to you guys.
Yeah, I saw that concrete slab and they put the match right down on top, and it looked like to me like something that really wouldn't be that expensive, but it would really enhance the driving range experience. And also, I mean, and save some grass and some maintenance. And, when
and we're like, and we do work with those guys at Riverside, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was pretty slick.
And private clubs do that as well. And so they can, as you said, Rob, they can go back and forth as need be between the grass and the mats.
Right.
I know one club private club that puts outings on the mats instead of on the grass too.
That's a great idea.
And say that again. Put what?
Outings.
Outings.
Oh.
Outings will go on the mats instead of on the grass.
Okay, you're talking about like tournaments, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Like 30 handicappers.
Yeah, Roger that.
So, Lynn, I think you got a couple of things there with Public Works and that merit, maybe not a bonus, but a merit increase question to discuss with Brad. Is that correct?
Sure. We'll get it done.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask Lynn something you may know or Brad may know. I see one of our biggest.
I'm sorry about that, guys. I cannot see a screen to where I can mute. I don't know. Maybe it's too late to even try to get it.
Just hover up above your picture with your mouse and you hit the mute button.
I can't see my picture. That's the thing.
Oh.
But anyway, I'll unplug the telephone.
Well, believe me, Todd, you look marvelous.
Well,
thank you. That's what I was concerned about. Yeah.
I wanted to ask Brad or Lynn, I see 12 Stones as maybe our biggest competitor. How many rounds will they play at 12 Stones this year?
That's a pretty good question. They've had a lot bigger year, much like us, than they have in years past. Obviously, a lot of it's COVID, but they finally gotten that place in pretty good shape. I mean, the greens are in good shape. They put some sand in the bunkers. They had grass in the fairways. I don't know how many they will play. You know, that's always I can ask them, but as Lynn will tell you, I mean, I talk to my boy over at Nashborough Village, and sometimes he tells me some numbers, and I get to figuring it up, and I'm thinking, you know what? There ain't enough. You got 62 carts. You can't do that many rounds of golf because you'd be out of carts.
Right.
So, but I'm sure I would guess they do probably very similar to the rounds we do.
I know Chris over there since he came from Bluegrass. I may just stop in there one day and ask him.
Yep.
Now, I will say one thing about their carts. You know, they put the GPS distance pads on those carts.
Yep.
So, you know, that's certainly an enhancement that's been done over there.
It is for right now, but I'm telling you that I love the GPS on there, but it's also something else to go wrong.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
I know when I was at the trail, we had a time with, if they got wet, you know, from trying to clean them or just wear and tear, and you know, we'd have 20 down every day. It seemed like over there at the trail.
It's good until it isn't.
If you don't get a GPS, then it it makes the golfer upset, I guess.
Is there any other business today?
You know, if I can bring one thing up, and Lynn and I have talked about it, but I just want to continue to look at areas probably with Public Works for our cart path from 6 to 7, and then coming down 15. This is the time of year where, you know, every time it rains, I know Sunday morning I was there, and everybody that was going to play, I mean, I preached to them about being slow, going slow. I make them sign the cart waiver, tell them what it's for.
Right.
I send my guy out there when they're getting close to that hill just to tell them to be careful again. You know, the leaves get on those, it gets wet. The design is terrible. And we just need to continue, I think, to look at what other options we might can do to help that. In lieu of spending a whole bunch of money redoing the cart path, which you might have to on 15, but especially 6 down to 7. You know, as we get colder weather and that stuff gets slippery, it's a mess.
So we're going to talk to, did you say talk to Public Works about getting their
I think
ideas?
Lynn, and I don't want to talk for you, Lynn, but I think you've had a discussion with Trace already, kind of looking at that.
They're, you know, and looked at several different options and alternatives, one of which is not to get into the detail, but one of which is to kind of have a switchback, several switchbacks between the existing cart path and kind of doubling up where you're kind of going down like a handicapped staircase rather than a straight down the hill staircase. And again, I don't want to take it, you know, at this point, we kind of got to let Trace kind of meter out what he thinks is doable, what he thinks is accessible, what he thinks timeline wise he can do, rather than and then kind of establish our priority with him rather than kind of keep forcing stuff on his plate, because his plate is very full and he does a very, very good job for the city and has done a very good job for Country Hills of helping out in times of need and other times. But
I agree.
I think we can kind of look at all those things and kind of place a priority on them and figure out, you know, what can he get to and when can he get to it. And I think we fall into, they'll get to it when they can and when there's a little bit of downtime and when it works for the city. You know, obviously you can't pour asphalt in December and January when it's cold, but you could do some other things like prep work and stuff like that. So yeah. I think that's something we can all look forward to and do, but I do think that would be, you know, it's a tough scenario on 6 and 7. And again, it's very much like the driving range creek. Brad and his guys spent a lot of time to prevent those things from happening that, you know, that's very labor intensive, and with the few and the proud, it stretches them even more.
Well, I think we want to keep both of those type issues in front of us. And Brad, the safety concerns on the cart path you bring up, Rob's brought up the driving range where we're looking to, you know, maintain or increase revenue and reduce cost. I think those are two areas to keep in front of us.
Chris, I've got a question for either Lynn or Andy. How are we doing on the pump, the water pump that pumps in water to the course? I think, Andy, didn't Dave mention that at one of our meetings that we might need to look at either replacing or doing something with that pump? So that's the first I had heard of that. I
can kind of give you a start, and then Lynn can fill in the blanks if I miss anything. But the irrigation and pump replacement has been on the long-term project list for, I don't know, 4 years at least. It's coming. A day's coming when it's going to have to be replaced. All of that is getting by right now. We have an issue where we're going to have to kind of reroute part of the irrigation line over underneath a new development, or the last phase of a development. But Lynn, is that pretty much?
We got two parts to the system. There's what we call the transfer pump and the transfer line. The transfer pump is down on Lower Station Camp Creek Road. Transfer line runs 2.5 miles overground through from there to the lake on number 4. The transfer pump is built new by the city of Gallatin, within the last 10, 12 years when that road was moved. So it's in good shape. The line can just get repaired, and it may have to be relocated, as Andy mentioned, out of the back part of the development. And I think the city and Public Works and everybody's working with the developer to kind of get to a spot there. The other part of the equation is the existing golf course pump and infrastructure to water the golf course as it relates to the piping, the sprinkler heads, the pump on the golf course, and the control portion of that. That's 1989 technology. It's functioning okay right now, but as life, as time goes on, it's kind of like a truck with several thousand miles on it. We're going to have to, at some point, do some major renovation there. That's not impending. We can always fix the pump for now, but to repair it, to get back to better technology as far as variable frequency drive, better for the softer pressures for the existing piping and a better electrical cost. All those things can kind of come down the road, and we'll keep that kind of on that long-term list and kind of keep those costs updated as time goes by.
So Andy, the moving the line where the new development, will the developer pay that, or the city won't have to pay for that, will we?
Lynn, how did we leave that the other day? I can't remember.
I think the developer was going to come back with the proposal to the city.
Yeah.
I have not seen anything like that yet, Andy.
No, I don't think we've gotten a proposal back from them to see what they're kind of wanting.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the absence of any other business, it is customary that we do not have, in the past, we've not had a December commission meeting. And I would suggest, I guess, that we maintain that practice. Now, David has said that he will send out the normal documents that he sends out ahead of the monthly meeting, so we're all kept informed of our performance. Lynn, I assume that you will communicate in December the cart arrival?
Yes, sir. And when I have a good date, I'll do that as well.
Okay. That would mean our next meeting would be Monday, January the 18th. And we've got some things to work on between now and then. We've talked about coordinating with Public Works. We've talked about the letter that I'm going to write. So in the absence, there's any other business today?
Yeah, Chris, this is Jim Carr.
Yeah.
Lynn, I meant to call you earlier and just follow up with you. We had talked last week, guys. I had a suggestion for Lynn for those that don't know the color scheme on the flags. I'd asked Lynn to come up with a possible sign proposal just to put there at that one area right by the first tee box to kind of say, front, middle, back color codes for the flags. Lynn, did you get any further with that?
No, I did not, but we'll take care of it. I'll get with Brad and we'll kind of get the right listing and go from there.
Mr. Chairman, you probably need to take a vote to cancel the December meeting.
Okay.
We've never had.
I
we've never
would
had a
move
December
that
meeting.
we do so. This is Todd. I would move that we cancel the December meeting.
Is there a
Jim Carr
second?
seconds.
All right. Let's call the roll for approval of that. Todd, how do you vote?
Yay.
Jim?
Yay.
Rob?
Yes.
Maynard? Yes. All right. With no other business, this meeting is adjourned.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, boys.
Thank you, boys. Meeting's over and I finally got it turned on.